Hello princesses, and welcome back to Not Fit for Print Beauty with me, Rebecca. Today we are here to look at two brand new concealers. We are going to put them head to head, and that is the new Lancome Care and Glow Concealer, Tint Idole Care and Glow Concealer, and the new Estee Lauder, turning it around to get the right side, Estee Lauder Futurist Soft Touch Brightening Skin Sealer. We are going to demo them. We are going to do a 6-hour wear test. I've already done it. And we are going to talk all about it and put them on my concealer spectrum, which I'll explain in a moment. So glad to have you here. Don't forget that you can follow me over on TikTok, Instagram, and on Threads. But let's get busy here. Let's talk about what we have. We're going to try them out. And this did not go the way I thought it would, but it's kind of a happy accident. So I'm leaning into it. I'm going with it. So let's do this. I'll explain as we go, and you'll see in the demo. There was a little bit of a shade problem, but it was a happy accident. Okay, so first, let's talk about the Lancome Care and Glow Concealer. This is the Tint Idole Care and Glow Concealer. Kind of a happy little companion to the foundation of the same name. So there they are together. This comes in 24 shades, is $29, and I got the shade 305 Neutral. It is the perfect skin tone for me. This is considered a serum concealer. So, you know, we've had all these serum foundations that are very thin and completely blend into the skin. This is the same thing, but in concealer form, and I will say that that is accurate. It's just really kind of disappears into the skin, especially if, like I did, you get the right shade, skin shade. It is says that it is medium coverage, 24 hours hydration. Here's the thing. I think, you guys, when we talk about all of these adjectives that describe complexion products, all of these adjectives, let's see, just about concealers, you know, they're always hydrating, full coverage, medium coverage, that. So like this one, I found really funny. When you look it up, it says it has a natural finish, and then says a beautiful glowing finish, which is kind of at odds. And I think what happens is we end up just using these adjectives for concealers without even thinking that sometimes they contradict one another. Glowing finish, natural finish should be different, but both are used when describing this. It's like it could be anything. It just say concealer at this point, because all of these superlatives kind of become marketing speak, and they become quite silly. We are going to put it on my concealer spectrum in a moment, but let me first introduce the other one we're looking at today, which is the Estee Lauder Futurist Soft Touch Brightening Skin Sealer. The latest is the Futurist Estee Lauder that it could go with is the Estee Lauder Futurist Serum Foundation, but there are a few Futurists in the line, you know, the line within the line of Estee Lauder. This one claims to be brightening. They all do. This one does say it reduces darkness over time. That's because it has skin-loving ingredients in it, and to me that is also hype. Any sort of skin conditioning, any sort of treatment that you use will help you over time. How long? Who knows? What does help mean? Who knows? It's marketing speak. They say it smooths, plumps, and hydrates. They all say that. I start taking it with a grain of salt. I suppose this is why reviews and demos are important, because if you just listen to the marketing speak, it can be quite misleading. Natural glowing. I mean, you know, at any rate, this one is $36, so a few more dollars, but it comes in a few more shades. It comes in 30 shades. I got the shade 4N, and when I got it, I thought, why in the world would I ever order something with a 4 in front of it? What was wrong with me that day? I feel like maybe my order was gone wrong, like I was clicking around on shades, because I'm always like a 2 point something. I'm a 305 in this one. But anyway, this is way, way, way too dark on me, and that's where this review takes a bit of a turn in the demo, but I'm actually wearing it all over now. I've evened myself out because it's quite silly for the demo and wear test, but it is so peachy that it kind of ends up acting like a color corrector, like a apricot color corrector. So we've gone a different way, but I actually have it all on right now, and I put the Lancome foundation over. I have no foundation on for the wear test that we'll do after this, but just for this part, and wow, it's working just great as a color corrector. But for the demo and the wear test, I'm just wearing these. You'll see what I did with shades here. It was an accident, but a happy one. All right, let's put these onto what I like to call the concealer spectrum. In all of my years doing journalism and beauty reporting, I found that the best way to know if you're going to like especially a concealer, is by comparing it to other formulations that you also like. I'm not talking about coverage, I'm talking about consistency. If you love a nice, thick consistency concealer, you'll like others, and if you like a thinner one, you'll like certain, you know. So I tend to say that Pat McGrath and the original Tarte Shape Tape, I think also even the creamy Tarte Shape Tape, are very thick. I'm not talking about the coverage, I'm talking about the consistency. They're thick, you have to use them very sparingly or they will cake. And on the thinner side of the spectrum, I like to put like Armani Power fabric is very thin. So we're going to do that, and then the middle has like Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Concealer, the new Natasha Denona. In the thicker side of medium is House Labs. Thinner side of medium is the new Gucci. So we have kind of a whole little concealer spectrum there. So let's place these on it. Wow. So this Lancome Care and Glow is indeed a serum concealer. It is so far thin. It is thinner than my thinnest Armani Power fabric. This is in that same space as the Huda Glowish concealer and the Valentino heavily perfumed concealer. This is going to be extraordinarily thin, and you'll see in the demo and when I talk about it at the end, this is one of those that's great just to provide a little bit of color coverage over color corrector and foundation. Extraordinarily thin, very serum-like, has a really interesting doe foot, goes great under the eyes. This will never crease. It smooths beautifully and looks lovely. It says medium coverage. No way. It is thin in consistency and it is very light coverage. That has its place, but on the darkness and around my eyes, The Estee Lauder Futurist Soft Touch is right in the middle, super duper creamy. I would compare this most in consistency to the new Natasha Denona Concealer, beautiful and creamy, or the Tarte Radiant Shape Tape, not creamy, not the regular Tarte Shape Tape, which are all the way over here, but to the Radiant or the Natasha Denona. It's right smack dab in the middle and definitely has medium to full coverage, actually. And I got it in way the wrong shade, but I'm kind of okay with that because it works like a color corrector. Why I ordered anything with a 4 in front of it when I'm light medium, I have no idea, but we are going to work with it and make it work. All of that explanation to say that now we are going to pit these one side of my face to the other side of my face so that you can see the difference in a true medium texture, medium coverage, and a light texture, light coverage. You will immediately see the difference. So let's go to the demo right now. Okay, let's try each of these out and see what we think. We're gonna put them head to head. You know what I do in all of these videos. I admit my flaws. I suppose we all have them. I do have redness around the nose, some blemishes. Human, I suppose, right? And I do have what I like to refer to as my dark pits of despair. That is this area here. It's dark right here. A little bit under the eyes, but mostly right here on both sides. Isn't that lovely? And some darker kind of veins that show maybe genetically right here. Raise your hand if you have those too. That is really what I rely on concealer for the most, to be honest. Now, there's a few schools of thought when applying concealer. Some people feel you should just kind of let it chill out a little bit, you know, just for 10, 20 seconds before you blend it. Especially if it's on a blemish, especially. Not necessarily under the eyes. There's all different application techniques. What I always tell you guys is if left to my own devices, what I would really like to do is color corrector, followed by foundation, followed by concealer. But for these videos, I don't like to let anything get in the way, including foundation. Though I showed you the corresponding foundations to the concealers, I'm not going to put them on today because we're doing a half face and a half face, and these are such different shades in my Estee Lauder and Lancome. It would just be absolutely distracting. It really would be. So we're just going to go ahead and let it ride with concealer. no powder, no primer. I do have some skincare that is soaked in already from the morning. Sorry to take time, but I just wanted to get our ground rules established. Let's see what we think. We'll start on this side of the face with the Lancome Tint Idole Care and Glow Concealer, the Serum Concealer, and let's see what we think. I have two different Sonia G Fusion brushes here so that we don't contaminate. Let's start here, and I'll let it sit a little bit. This is a very thin in consistency. We talked about the concealer spectrum. Very, very thin. Interesting. Huh. Kind of reminds me of the YSL, which I think somebody mentioned on my YSL video, somebody who had tried this. Interesting. All right, so here's one clean brush, and I'll just kind of, didn't let it sit for as long as I normally do, but I don't really have any blemishes. Oh, it blends just lovely. This blends a little better than the YSL, but not quite as much coverage. So we do have, for this part of the try-on, we do have the fact that this side isn't covered yet, and there's the dark pits of despair. And if you cover them here, that is lovely, but very thin, and looks like it would need a little bit of a color corrector first. But it really blends just beautifully. Certainly it's better than without. But House Labs, Tower 28, Gucci, they're already, I can tell you, a lot better. I mean, that leaves a lot to be desired in terms of coverage. Could you build it up? Sure, but I'm just doing normal application. Would you normally maybe have foundation, maybe a color corrector? Sure. We're just looking only at the concealer. Here's the Estee Lauder. It's a little bit of a different shade, a little darker. That's okay. We're just gonna, I'll be mismatched, I don't mind. Okay, this is a little bit of a thicker feel and a very dark shade. They recommended a darker shade to me, but normally I would have foundation on. I wondered why they recommended such a darker shade, but that's okay. We'll definitely be able to tell the difference. Much too dark of a shade, which I'm used to going much lighter with concealer, but it's fine. I just want to test out the coverage. And because this has a very peachy undertone, though it would need foundation over the top, it certainly is going to cover darkness really well. It's almost like, I almost feel this is so peachy just from, they recommended, I went with their shade recommendation, and just from that, I almost have gotten a color corrector, to be honest. But that's okay. We're looking at the coverage, not so much the effect. And you'll see that the peachy nature of it, just by accidentally getting too dark of a shade, the peachy nature of it is covering better. Look at this side. This is the correct shade for my face. And it's just not, it's a very thin concealer. So isn't that interesting? And I might, seeing now, I have a little bit of a hyperpigmentation there. So let me try that too. Very comfortable, very medium, blends very well. But yeah, this is almost like a color corrector simply because the shade is a little too dark. It's very peachy. I don't mind that though. All right, let's just stay mismatched, shall we? I mean, why not? Let's just stay a little bit mismatched. I will do my brows and, do a little bit here and there and then wear it for the day. It's pretty easy to tell because of the shade difference, but I'm okay with it. To me, this feels a bit color corrector. What do you think? It's definitely hiding the dark pits of despair by virtue of its peachiness. So I'm actually not mad at that. Okay, so this darker side of my face is Estee Lauder Futurist Skin Touch. This lighter side is the Lancome Care and Glow. Let's let it ride. I'll put on a little bit of makeup and wait a few hours and check back in. I'm going to be a little lopsided, so I'm not going to put on a lot of makeup because this is not an enviable, this look is not goals. You know what I'm saying? I'll be right back in a few hours. Okay, it has been 5 hours and I look very, very silly. I'm actually going to film my intro after all this is over because this is just, I'm not going to put on other makeup with this. It's silly. The shade difference. I feared the shade difference in the foundation, but this is really ridiculous, but we're just testing the product. So I just have a little bit of something on my lips and a little bit of mascara. So let's talk about this happy accident here. Way too dark of a shade was suggested to me. Never take those suggestions. Do as I say, not as I do. Sometimes I'm wondering, and I take this, it's silly, but it's kind of a happy accident because this Estee Lauder is so far too dark for me. You can see it blotching around, but it's so peachy that I love what it's done for my dark pits of despair. I mean, I think they look really, really good, but the color is obviously off. With foundation over it, it would be great. Not over foundation, though. And you'll see what I did. You already saw what I did on the intro. But I really like what it's done around here. And let's talk about how it's worn, and then we'll go to the other side and talk about the Lancome. Okay, it has worn really nicely. I have not powdered it, but it would benefit from just a touch of powder there, but it's really not doing too much. I do see some of my fine lines under there. That's just because I'm tired. It's wearing really nicely and really soft, really nice medium application and medium to full coverage, but a medium feel. It's really creamy. It's really nice. I should try it in the right shade. Okay, now let's talk after 6 hours about the Lancome Care and Glow Serum Concealer. Being a serum concealer, of course, it's very thin. It applies beautifully. It's completely skin-like. I got the right shade, so I can't see it on at all. The only problem is it's not doing a lot for the dark pits of despair. Is better than nothing, but it's essentially only slightly better than nothing. Would be very, very pretty applied over foundation and over, which would be over color corrector foundation, and then this, because it's so thin. It's like paper thin. I compared it to the YSL. Now, I reviewed the YSL concealer, and the weird thing about it to me was that the doe foot ran out of product really quickly, and there was someone in comments, remind me who kind of compared it to this. Yes and no, this one doesn't run out of that product on the doe foot as quickly. Much better. For a super thin concealer, this would be my recommendation. There's a Huda one, there's a Valentino one that's heavily scented. This is super duper thin, but lays beautifully on the skin. Covers not much, but if you're using a color corrector anyway, I think this would be great. And, toy with the idea if you have dark circles of going, accidentally, maybe purposely, a little peachier. So what I'm going to do now, you guys, I'm going to go, you've seen my intro. I haven't even filmed it yet. I'm going to actually kind of adjust this so I don't look goofy in the intro and have people go, what the heck is this woman doing here? So I'm going to fix that up. You've seen it already. But yeah, there's my thoughts on both. Very, very, very different concealers. And it completely shows in putting them head to head. So I'm glad that we did it. Let me know all of your thoughts, of course, because that's what makes us a community. So don't forget to share and like and subscribe and all that good stuff. So much new stuff coming up, you guys, on this channel. I can't even tell you. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Bye-bye.